guest, author and filmmaker Peter Schweizer. He's the author of the book Clinton Cash, the untold story of how and why foreign governments and businesses helped make Bill and rich. And a film version of the book will debut this weekend, filled with claims, including dealings that have led to Russian President Vladimir Putin controlling 20% of a uranium company, American Uranium. The Clinton camp has denied the claims. Peter, thanks for joining us. The Washington Post, I mean, I don't know how this got dragged out of them. They said on any fair reading, the pattern of behavior that Schweizer is charged is corruption. Meanwhile, Secretary Clinton's campaign manager, John Podesta, denounces the book as a bunch of outlandish claims with zero evidence. And you wrote this a while ago. Since then, we've seen the whole Comey situation, and we're wondering whether this is actually going to be the next thing that somebody looks at more closely, the whole Clinton Global Initiative situation. Who's right? The Washington Post? Do you have evidence? Or, I mean, you need to be able to show that something actually happened because of the cash. That's hard to do.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely right. I think if you look at recent American political history when it comes to corruption investigation and prosecution, whether that's, the former governor down in Alabama or Senator Menendez, what you find is you need to show a pattern of behavior. You need to show that money was given by certain individuals and that a political figure did unique favors for that individual. What the Clinton campaign has tried to say is that you have to have a quid pro quo. In other words, you have to have an email, which of course probably would have been deleted, or you have to have a recorded phone conversation that says, I will do this if you give me that. That is not the case. That has not been the case. And as I demonstrate in the book, there are three things that went on during Hillary Clinton's tenure as Secretary of State. Number one, they made a lot of money, either through the Clinton Foundation or into their pocket in the form of speaking fees. Number two, a lot of that money came from foreign entities. And number three, that those foreign entities got favorable action from Hillary Clinton. I think all three of those events are related.
Peter, does the book go into, I've seen stuff on the dealings in Haiti where most of the money was somehow found their way into companies that the Clintons at least had relationships with. Is that in there as well? There's been a lot written about that, and I want to ask you about something else, too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a chapter on Haiti, and in fact, a lot of the findings in the Haiti chapter were confirmed by the Washington Post. I mean, when the book came out, we shared it in advance with investigative units at the New York Times and the Washington Post. The Washington Post focused on Haiti, and they confirmed our findings, which was that a lot of entities connected to the Clintons got favorable action while the Clintons were running Reconstruction. That includes, by the way, Hillary Clinton's brother, Tony Rodham, who scored a gold mining concession. The first one granted by the government in 50 years went to a company whom Tony Rodham joins the board shortly after.
Peter, what do you know? I mean, you've seen the latest stuff. I love this one. I can't find anything actually wrong with the Laurate Education deal. So Bill got, is that in the book? That's not. Is that he got, I think he was, it is? He was chancellor for what, 4 years, salary $16.46 million. And then what did Laurate, they get State Department money or Clinton Foundation money?
So here's what happens. Laurate Education hires Bill Clinton as the honorary chancellor. He gets $16 million. The head of Laurate Education, a guy named Douglas Becker, also runs a nonprofit called the International Youth Foundation, which is less than a mile away in terms of where the Laurate office is. The State Department sends $55 million to the International Youth Foundation, which then does joint projects with Laurate Education. That to me is something that warrants serious investigation.
Well, maybe there is something going on. Did you see Laura Ingram's speech at the convention, Peter?
I saw part of it. I was traveling. I saw part of it.
At the end, she pointed up to all the media booths at the very top and said, when do you finally go and look at phonies and hypocrites, and when do you do your job? When will that happen? Where's Woodward and Bernstein on any of this? Is that you?
No, it's a great question. It's a great question. I mean, I have to say the investigative units at the New York Times, Washington Post, ABC News have done very good work in this area. The most shocking thing to me is all this stuff has come out last year, a front page story, New York Times, Washington Post. In all the debates and all the interviews that Hillary Clinton has done with the mainstream media, she has not been asked one question by the media on these topics, which to me is shocking. I think any other political figure in America with a 4,000-word front-page investigative piece in the New York Times alleging money from the Russian government, the transfer of uranium, would at least warrant one question from the mainstream media in terms of a political debate, and it's never happened. It's really shocking to me.
There's a lot of things that could be looked at, I guess. So where can you see this movie? You can't. Ines D'Souza has a movie coming out. What's that called? Clinton's America or something? That is in theaters this weekend, I think. You're not. We said that you were, but I don't think you are. Where can you see the movie part rendition of your book?
Well, you can of course buy the book in bookstores. It's coming out in paperback next week. Film is going to be this weekend. You can go to Breitbart.com, give them your email, and they will give you free access to the film, which will be streaming all weekend. We also have, by the way, coming out a graphic novel. A couple of guys that did Batman comics for years have created a graphic novel version of Clinton Cash for those who necessarily don't want to wade through a book.
I remember Trump said something like, I could probably walk down the streets of New York and shoot somebody, and that wouldn't even hurt my ratings or something. I think is it kind of similar? I mean, you hear this, I'm even listening to you going, oh, Hillary and, nothing, that's 20 years of this. She has to do something a lot worse than this to derail the Clintons.
Well, there was a great statement by the late Senator Pat Moynihan of New York, a Democrat, who talked about defining deviancy down. He talked about how where criminal activity occurs in a community, people just start to accept it. I think in the case of the Clintons, it's the same thing. I mean, when we reach a point when the Clinton defense is, you can't prove that a felony was committed by us doing this, that's a presidential campaign's candidate. That's their defense. That's, I think, a serious problem. And I think we all have to step back and say, look, do we want to have the same rules for all politicians? What Senator Menendez did that warranted prosecution by federal authorities, the Clintons have done multiple times beyond. And that's really the question. This is not about the Clintons ultimately. It's about what are the rules, who has to comply with them, and how are they complied with, and are we going to have consistent standards for everyone?
Have you made the round? Have you been on MSNBC? You've been on Good Morning America? Have you been on those?
I did those last year. I did Morning Joe a lot on MSNBC and Good Morning America, but now they've gone radio silent.
No one cares. It's classic. The Clintons. Anyway, Peter, thank you for being with us this morning. We didn't bring you on purpose on the Friday before the DNC. We had you earlier this week, and we moved in. So,